I'm back. Let's go. Welcome to Last Chance Q with myself, Coach JB and Sean Salisbury.
We will not talk over the amateur or under the expert.
It's not only the X's and O's, but it's about the Jimmies and Joes.
And it's not just quarterback. We got all the positions, teaching, coaching, laughing, and joking.
We're using football terminology so we can get through this faster than we don't want to use these long terms, Coach. We got quick verbiage to get to the point. Last Chance Q with the great legendary Sean Salisbury. What up, man? We are in the building. Sean Salisbury and I are here. Jeff couldn't do the show, so we're going to move on with Sean and I for the remainder. So just so you know, pound that like, subscribe, become a member. This is powered by BetUS, our main man over at BetUS. Head on over there and use my promo code Coach JB. Sean, today's focus is these Eagles flying high, as the graphic behind me says. They got the Ravens in a big-time game. We're going to break that down later on, but that's one of the big slates this weekend. Where you at with the Eagles right now and how they're playing as they kick off against the Ravens later on in the afternoon slate today up in Baltimore? So that's going to be a very interesting matchup. 9-2 Eagles, 8-4 Ravens. Ravens got the Chargers last week where we thought maybe the Chargers had a shot. The Ravens pulled away in the Harbaugh Bowl. And the Eagles are rolling since they started off a little sluggish. But where you at with these Eagles flying high? Are they a real contender to knock off the Detroit Lions in the NFC?
Yeah, to me, it's those two teams. I mean, I know Minnesota and Green Bay are both pretty damn good as well. I am a big fan of that roster in Philadelphia. Of course, they're a major threat. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with who's playing at home in that situation. Really do. The indoor, outdoor. I think both are capable of going into the other person's building and winning, but quarterback's playing well. They've been through, 3 offensive and 3 defensive coordinators in 2 years or less after their Super Bowl appearance. So, I mean, they've had some changes that have gone on with coaches leaving or coaches getting fired. So they look like they're settling in, and it's amazing. This year it feels to me like it's the revaluation and the revalue and uptick of running backs in this league, even though we should have never devalued them. But would Henry, would Saquon Barkley, would Joe Mixon, look around the league at what these running, what Aaron Jones is doing in Minnesota, what Josh Jacobs is doing in Green Bay, revitalization. So quit, I understand people don't draft running backs high very often, but I'll tell you what, they're invaluable. And Saquon Barkley has made that team so much more bandwidth-wise. They can do it all. And when they're healthy, they're a threat. It comes down to, I think that, and both teams on defense, we talk about both offenses in Philadelphia and Detroit. Both defenses, Philadelphia is starting to look like the defense, and the talent's starting to match the pub and the production, should I say. The potential and production is starting to come together. Yeah, they're a real threat. And it may come down to what quarterback makes more throws in an NFC championship situation, because they both can run it, they both can defend it, they both can pressure you, and they both got weapons all over the place with Pro Bowl caliber perimeter people. Both have offensive lines that are really good, and both have defensive front sevens that can take over a game. So, yeah, I'm impressed with Philadelphia. It looks like Sirianni's won the locker room back over. If not, it's just a bunch of players taking care of their business and doing right.
Man, you're a great point. Sirianni's been on the hot seat as far as the fan base goes, the media goes. If
they would have made the playoffs, I think he would have been out. And now they're maybe not just saving his job, but they're a legitimate Super Bowl threat. And whether it's because of him or in spite of him or he's part of it, that's one thing. But they're responding. And Saquon Barkley deserves MVP consideration.
Sean, I don't know if you're going to talk about this on the Sean Salisbury Show tomorrow, starting the week off as we head into the holiday season, Christmas coming. But what the fuck was Mike Elko doing at Texas A&M last night? Am I the only one? Am I just an idiot, or am I just not a math major? I understand I'm not a math major, but Sean, you're down 2 scores, 5 minutes left. It seems pretty fucking obvious to me to kick a field goal against a number 2 ranked Texas team and get down 7 with 5 minutes. 3 timeouts, and a 2-minute warning. You got 4 time stoppage possibilities. And they take no points. They get in 22 personnel under center and just hand the fucking ball off like they're in the middle of the field on first down. And it's a cover 0 bear front on Texas's side. A guy screams off the edge and hits the back in the fucking backfield. I'm blown away to this day right now. That has to be the dumbest situational call I've ever seen. And I like Mike Elko. I think he's a great coach coming over from Duke and everything. Sean, you're down 10 points. I don't understand why you think you need 7 right now.
Because geniuses get too cute. That's why they think they're, they just do. I like Mike. Mike's a hell of a defensive coach, and he's done a great thing. But last night, it may not be Matt Eberflus time management stuff. I mean, because you saw in Chicago, that was coaching. That was just complete. It was quack stuff if you're a doctor. I mean, on this past Thursday. But, listen, we're going to talk about it because with Sark and Texas A&M and how big that is in the state of Texas, it's a monster. And how do you, when you think about it, you hold them to, 17 points? Texas I'm thinking in my mind with all the game was 17.
You got a pick 6. You got a 90-yard pick 6 that is a momentum swinger, Well,
you had they turned it over twice in the red zone. Did fumble? Ewers threw a pick on a tip ball and he fumbled. They got down in the red zone in both halves inside the 5 and came away with 0 points, meaning Texas A&M. You scored on a defensive touchdown. You blocked a punt that got you in the red zone.
Kicked the field goal, didn't they? I mean, blocked the field goal too, didn't they?
They
I don't know if they did.
No, blocked the punt.
Yeah.
Texas missed a couple field goals, or at least one. I know they missed one. And you're at your place in front of 109,000 and still got beat. And they didn't score 20 points on you. Now, that's an indictment on your offense. And to me, Mike Elko made the decision because he didn't think his offense could go down there and score again. Now, whether he thinks it or not, you're sending a loud message. It was stupid, and a coach's number one job is to put his team in the best position to win. And a lot of these coaches get to a point they outthink themselves. They play this analytics bullshit on a card instead of playing sound, smart football. Sound, smart football. You kick the field goal. Now, I'm all about being aggressive. I'm not about being stupid when it comes to making these decisions. And then the play calls in both series when you were inside the 5. And I think Colin Klein's got a great future as a play caller. But when to go for it's on the coach. What play to call is on the coordinator. And they repeatedly ran into Texas's strength because I can make the argument that Texas has the best defense in the country. They are stout and athletic in the interior, and your best player on offense with his feet is the guy with the football in his hand. You at least got to give him a two-way go of it. You can't. And off the edge, if that was a read under center, whatever situation on the last play, if it was a two-way go, which I think it was straight hand the whole way anyway, which I hate. I want to put my best player on the edge. You would have had to tell him, hey man. Especially, I actually thought when they got under, because they were talking, Herb Street and Fowler were talking about being in the gun in that situation just before they went out there and ran the play. How difficult it is at this far away, and he got under center. And my first thought was they're going to run some sort of he's going to show ball and hit it inside, and he's going to and just beat a guy to the pylon and have a dragger coming across the back line so you can get him in the end zone and you have a throw if you need it. But to play to their strength and to leave an unblocked guy who I guarantee Texas said you got one assignment. You come off that edge, we're going to dare them to pull the ball if they can. And they got stubborn and ego-filled, and it was a horrible play call, it happened twice. I understand the aggressiveness early in the game to try and set a tone, but then in that situation, you got to trust that you're going to get stops by a defense that you had played pretty friggin' good other than stopping their run game. They hammered you in the run game. They just did. And the truth, when I say gave it pretty good, they kept him out of the end zone is my point, because I actually love Sark's game plan. They attacked at the throat on a regular basis, pushing the ball vertically down the field, which Texas A&M, on the other hand, does not do very well. So you said that would be like me having my best player on the offense and taking the ball out of his hand. It'd be like Patrick Mahomes when the game was on the line. You putting the ball, you handing it off and throwing a reverse pass when you're down 6 at the 8-yard line, right? You know what I'm saying? You're down 6 when you need your best player to have his hands on the football. If I'm going down, I need to have it go down with the guy with my best runner, and that is their quarterback with a chance to
give them an option, right? Give them a fucking option.
Right.
They ran the same formation the play they got stuffed before.
Yes.
On third down. And I'm like, okay, now you kick the fucking field goal. Here's what I thought should have happened. They got stuffed on 22 personnel. They're down there. They get stuffed. It's fourth down. Run the kick field goal team out. No questions asked. There shouldn't have been a timeout wasted. So they thought about it. Then they
wasted
wasted
time to get the ball back. Yes.
Yeah, they thought about it. They wasted timeout. And I'm sitting there telling Steve Kim, like, what the fuck are they doing? Just kick the field goal. Don't waste a timeout. And you're down 7 with, in essence, 4 timeouts. You got 3 timeouts in your pocket and a 2-minute warning now that college football is done. You got 4 timeouts in your pocket. And they go and think about this. And then you thought about it, Sean, after wasting a timeout, come out in the same exact formation, 22 personnel, and run the same fucking play. And they don't run no boot naked off of it, no flood.
Well, they didn't do that in any of the plays leading up to it to at least set up that you got that threat. I mean, it was just it's almost like you want to play who's packing more. I mean, we're going to run inside, we're going to run to your strength, and they got friggin' mauled. I mean, it was on. I mean, there was never even a question, and they did it in the field too. And I know they kept pointing first down. They weren't close. I mean, they weren't close to the goal line on these plays.
No,
they got manhandled the line of scrimmage down there. And I have so much respect for A&M. Mike Elko outthought himself in this. You should have taken the points. You had to have 10 of them anyway, and trusted that your guys were going to make enough plays. And defensively, it started to make plays with those 2 big turnovers in the red zone. You had to trust them. At home, you're playing for the SEC championship. You only give up 17 points. You have to walk away from there saying, if I'd have told you going in, and Texas has been reeling a little bit. They haven't been overly explosive against good. They've played some close games. If I would have told you that Texas was going to score 17 points in this game at home, and I would told you the scenario, they were going to give up a defensive touchdown and a punt was going to get blocked by A&M, you'd have said, oh, Texas is going to get beat. They're not playing in the SEC championship game. And they still won by not only 1, they won by 10.
Yeah. Here's the thing about it, too. I got to be honest, Sean. Like, you gave your defense and you told your defense and your team, you have no shot.
I don't trust you.
Like, you told your whole team, at least kick the field goal. We're down 7. We got a shot. We got 4 timeouts. We got 5 minutes, Sean. There was 5 minutes left.
Yeah, that tells you trust your defense to get a stop and you trust your offense to go the length of the field and get a score. And
Twice
the other
more?
way is the way he did it, the way Mike Elko did it, and like I said, I do like Mike. It's not personal. The way he did it said, I don't trust anybody.
I don't know, man. I just look around the league. I'm looking around football, Sean. I see the worst coaching I've ever seen.
There's dumb shit decisions every week on Saturday and Sunday that are controllable. I'm not talking about execution plays that drive people nuts, but the dumb shit decision. You know who gets in the way a lot of times is these non-clock managing, just staring at a piece of paper instead of going with what is good football sense. Yes, they fuck it up.
Wow.
Because they try to get too cute. When if I would ask Mike Elko in any other situation 9,000 times, if he was on the other team coaching and would have been in the situation, and I said, Mike, what do you think the other team's going to do down 17-10 on 4th and 3, or where it wasn't like it was 4th and 6 inches. And what would you do, Mike? And he'd say, well, if I was Texas's defensive coordinator, I'm assuming they're going to kick the field goal after we stop them on 3rd down. And he did exactly what – and he went against defensive philosophy head coaches. Hell, take the points, keep it low scoring, and instead of the offense, well, we'll get it back and we'll spread it out and go all Lincoln Riley on you and score 40 on you and hopefully not give up 42. This was a defensive coach who's built it when he was at A&M, left and did a great job of come back. The same thing. This is why you do it. 17. If you'd have told Elko the situation would have turned out, he said, in that situation on Wednesday, he said, of course I'm taking the points. The emotion and the crowd and going over it. It was just, I don't know what makes, but it's not just him. It happens every week and in controllable environments and situations. And these guys continue to do stupid shit that puts their team. Mike Elko, the play calling inside the red zone was not good for A&M, and they played well enough in certain spots to win. They got to be better against the run, and they gave up some big plays. But Mike Elko, who, gosh, I'm such a fan, he completely took the opportunity to make play after that out of his team's hands, because now you're down 10 and you got no shot even with those timeouts. All it takes is one ball back, and they got it back, and now the ball game's over.
Sean, I see it all over, though. Like, I was watching it yesterday at the house with Steve Kim and some buddies, and we're watching these football just the coaching alone has become so bad. We got punt returners, Sean, inside the fucking 3-yard line catching the punt.
Dude, I see it every week,
right?
Every week.
I mean, what are we doing?
And they won't say, it's like, why am I putting the guy back there? Here's what I don't get. Are you teaching? I see it. It happens with the Texans. It's happened like 8 times this year. And I've seen guys backtrack where they catch the ball on the 1. You're planted at 10. Your IQ went it to you across college and NFL. When you got to go backwards, that means stop your feet and don't move. Run forward and don't catch the ball and get out of the way. But when you're planted at 10 and you still go backwards, what kind of IQ are you telling me you got?
Like, are we not putting our heels at 10 anymore?
Right. And
are we not coaching fucking football no more?
Or when I'm running you out as a special teams coach, and if the last thing I say to you isn't, if the ball goes over your head, don't you dare touch it. And you still touch it, and I'm not putting you back there anymore. If the coach isn't preaching it, then he's a fucking idiot too. Okay,
hey, Sean,
not here. I'm talking about across the league, and I see it. And then these great special teams coaches, and you know what I'm hearing?
You catching a punt like this, Sean? You're fucked.
Stop it. Just stop.
Come on, man.
Stop
Holy
it.
Shit.
The IQ of if the special teams coach isn't bringing him on, say, dude, I've told you 50 times. Once the ball's over your head at the 10-yard line, let it go. Regardless of your emotional decision, let it go. That's football 101. Been doing it forever. And if they're not teaching that on practice, then shame on the coaches. But I think coaches in a lot of cases with these analytics that are overrated when it comes to understanding. I mean, you can't onside kick 15 times in a game, okay? So you don't, right? Well, analytics say you may get 20% of them. Great. Well, those analytics, 20% ain't enough, okay, as I'm being hyperbolic. But you just can't automatically say, well, we're on the 3. You got to also consider who you're playing. Texas isn't horse shit. They're pretty damn good and pretty stout, okay? So maybe that analytics card does that for Tennessee, Chattanooga, and they may be great this year, I don't know, or one of those schools, but it sure as shit or does it for a team that's a bottom feeder, and that's when I said that they're going to finish in last place every year until somebody gives them $100 million NIL dollars. It's not their fault, but it's the pool they're swimming in. And some are swimming in a pool and some are swimming in the ocean, right? And the big boys are swimming in the ocean. So you step up, and we had 2 big boys playing last night. You got also that card that says, hey, 70% of the time, if you go for it on 4th down, you're going to get the first down or the touchdown. But 70% of the time doesn't tell you you're playing the number 2 or so team in the country that's got as good a defense there as on the planet. Rip that card up and be smart. Coaches, I'm telling you, it happens there. The football IQ, don't tell me football IQ is higher because young guys are coaching it. Football IQ is not higher. It just beats to a different drum. It's different. Matter of fact, at times, because you look at a card, it's dumber. And these guys are smart coaches, but they do some stupid-ass stuff.
I don't get it. And our guy broke it down perfectly, John Gruden on Barstool. Take a listen.
The analytical guy goes, hey, Coach Gruden, go for it right here. Go for it. I'm like, okay. We go for it. We get stuffed. And I go, hey, fuck you up there, you fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Aggressive. It's 12-10, man. We get the field goal.
The offense was moving.
But those 2.
Sean, that's fucking old school. I don't understand. Do they understand that analytics don't matter if your left tackle gets his fucking ass whooped by the fucking 5 technique? Like, do they know analytics don't have a fucking say in that? Like, I don't know.
Apparently not.
Hey,
I'm just telling you right now, analytics has its place. But in football, analytics is what we've been studying forever. It's called tendencies. On 3rd and 6, they play cover 2-man inside the red zone 80% of the time. They call a 2-man beater. That's what our analytics are. It doesn't tell me that some dude, and I'm not saying they're not smart, that said, well, here's what I got on a card. Oh, so that card worked for playing against Tennessee State. That's a tendency. That's a scouting report thing, though. Right. I get that, and not to disrespect Tennessee State, but if it's Alabama playing Tennessee State, it's probably Alabama's the favorite. Okay, yeah. But that may not work as easy in Kirby Smart's defense. You may not be able to push them aside because the analytics work against this. Now break those analytics down. When we go 4th and 2 against that guy or 4th and 3, how many times it worked? 3% of the time. Kick the fucking field goal and we'll play for more money. We'll play for more with 7 points instead of 10. It was dumb, and Mike probably regrets it today. If he doesn't, then Mike ain't watching the same football I'm watching, but I like Mike Elko. He's a hell of a coach. A&M didn't do anything to help them teams at the end with the play calling. It was dumb, and they played well enough to be in it.
And I'd be remiss if we don't bring this up, but we won't take too much time. I just want to ask you a simple question. Give me a yes or no answer and tell me why, and we'll move on to the NFL. We got all these games to break down. Ryan Day, should he be fired or not?
You know what? I'm not a fence sitter in this. How can you fire a guy who doesn't lose? But once a year, usually, maybe twice. I know that's the thing.
4 in a row. 4 in a row.
Right. Oh, I know. I get it. If we're judging him by the way they play against Michigan, yeah, I get why you let him go. If you're judging him by coaching C.J. Stroud out of his – played his ass off against Georgia, and they were without Marvin Harrison most of it, and they were in position to win and should have if they'd have got a couple stops, well, then you wouldn't fire him. Listen, excuse me, I don't know what goes on in the building there. Ryan Day's a good football coach. Yeah, think about what that says about the coaching industry if a guy loses once a year and we fire him. But because of who they're losing to and how they lose it, I think there is a chance they are going to visit that and see, and you'd hire him right away. But when you got a big payroll, you've got the best roster in the country.
Urban Meyer said the best ever.
Yeah, I think you have to visit it because, in truth, you had no business losing to Michigan. I'm talking about this season. I'm talking about this year with their pattern. You just can't. And you may have business losing to Michigan a lot of other times because that's a friggin' great place and great school. But this year, the excuse is you just played poor football and it was just not good. And Michigan outplayed you, and they did everything right and good on them. And it was a phenomenal performance by Michigan. But I think you're probably going to have to visit it, which is it sucks. So there's guys that have been fired for a lot. I mean, you'd have to do a lot more to be fired normally. But in this case, because it's Michigan.
And John, you and I aren't the normal fucking talking head out here who wants to advocate for fuckers getting fired because we
every time they make a mistake, right?
We don't want a fucking guy fired. I've been on my show for years saying that I believe Ryan Day is a little bit over his head. I think you might be right in certain big games. I don't have any argument with that. We get it. Here's my equation. I think you can plug and play any coach of that magnitude at Ohio State and win 10
should
games
win 9 or 10 games every year regardless.
I think any coach that has some sort of fucking competency can go in there and win 10 games a year. But you do Urban Meyer 7-0 versus Michigan
title, right?
Urban Meyer was fucking 7-0 versus Michigan. I just want to be clear.
There's the difference. Certain guys in the big moments of the rivalry game and the big title game put rings on their fingers, and some don't.
The bigger issue is you went out and made a splash hire and grabbed Chip Kelly, who you say is an offensive guru, and you go and score 10 fucking points, and you don't score in the second half.
I thought Chip Kelly was awful play caller yesterday.
I thought he's been bad all year, though, because the quarterback, Sean, I equate it to this. You can't put fucking hubcaps on a Ferrari. If you got a $30 million roster and you have this, I believe he's average. I hate to call kids average. This kid is at the helm of this loaded roster just isn't good enough. And you cannot fucking lose to a team that can't score points in Michigan and lose with a $30 million roster at Ohio State. You just can't do it. And now Penn State, who you beat, is now going to play Oregon in the title game. You're not even in your conference title game, Sean, in year one of the new division.
I think that you're to the point, and guys like Urban Meyer, and think about the flack Jim Harbaugh took for never beating Urban Meyer, and then he finally got a national title when Urban was out, so it helped. But there was times we were going to the offseason saying, Jim wins 10 games a year, can't beat Urban Meyer, and the Michigan alum, fortunately, he was able to fight through it and stay there because he's a hell of a coach, and it paid off with their national title. But, I think you're going to have to visit this because, in truth, I think most of us believe if it was Urban Meyer coaching them or Nick Saban that they are going to win the national title this year, or they're talented enough to have won. They wouldn't have lost to Michigan yesterday if that was the case. But it's not just Ryan Day. But I thought Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. I thought Chip Kelly it felt like at times that Ohio State's play calling was over its head yesterday, which is not normal. And that roster was good. So I think I hate to see it because he's had a hell of a run. But the argument is just this: couldn't anybody win 9 games at Ohio State with that roster? And how good that program always is. And I'll say another thing: while I know it looks all that, and the announcers get sanctimonious and full of when we have the Michigan Ohio State at the end, please don't tell us we don't like that, because you know what? No, I know that's made for TV. Guard against. We got to protect these. Listen. It's called emotion. USC and UCLA, there are going to be fights. The Alabama, Auburn's going, and at the end, while none of us like it, the bottom line is, as a fan, we love it. And when the rivalry, I wasn't mad. You don't want to put it this way. We all like it. We just don't want anybody to get hurt from it, right? You don't want somebody to blow out an ankle because somebody's fighting or break a hand and they're going to a bowl game. I get all that. But in truth, don't sit back and tell me how I'm supposed to think when you're, as a on the highlight show or the announcers or fans or anybody. Well, or go on Twitter. Well, this is just heinous for. No, you know what? The emotion that flies in those games, while it sucks as a player, imagine they are all in. Hell, I'll tell you what. Give me that over guys who don't give a shit when they get their ass kicked, going to celebrate and changing jerseys after and laughing their ass off. So while you don't want anybody hurt, I disagree. I think fans, it's like a hockey. When you go watch great hockey, what do you love? When those guys drop gloves and say the two big goons are going to beat on each other because somebody got cheap shotted or slashed from the background. Guess what they're doing? They're fighting, and we stop, and we can't take our eyes off it. We don't want the guy to get his face rearranged. We don't want anybody to get hurt, but we do like we do like them throwing hands and dropping gloves and getting back at it and playing good hockey. So, by the way, hockey players are the coolest bastards on the planet anyway. Those are the guys you want to party with and go down an alley with. But that, I digress. So, yeah.
You mean like you?
Don't tell me after the game.
Like
what?
you on bench warmers.
Yeah, I mean, badasses. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, shit. Guy you want right in front of you at an alley fight, right? So,
All right,
real quick, though, you just can't. I mean, did that bother you, the emotion after the game? Nobody got hurt. I mean, that's just called.
The only issue I have, and I know you're going to talk about it on your show tomorrow, and as well as I. To me, it's a bunch of mercenaries now. There's no real USC players anymore. There's no real Michigan, Ohio State players from the backyard of Michigan and Ohio State, Columbus, and the backyards of Detroit, and all. They're all coming from these other four-year schools now so much that now you have no real culture. You have a bunch of mercenaries who think, okay, we know because ESPN shows it since I was a little kid that these two teams don't like each other. Right. So I'm going to go spike the fucking flag in the middle of the field. You it's your first year there. You've been at 3 other colleges, motherfucker. That's the issue I have.
Right. No, I get where it's not ingrained in their DNA, right?
Yeah, it's not really. It's
they
like
transferred because they got more money. Right. Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Isn't there turf? Isn't Ohio State turf?
No. Ohio State's real grass, I believe.
You sure?
I think so. You better get that in turf with rock.
Because I was going to say, if it's turf, what are we doing? Speaking of common sense IQ, can you drop that flag in the middle of the turf? No, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was turf. But
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. If he got through that turf, though, into the rock, he might have broke his fucking wrist.
Yeah, so I don't want anybody to get hurt, but don't tell me as a rivalry game that the team's fighting after the game that we don't want to see it.
By the way, it happened at North Carolina State yesterday. It happened Alabama, Auburn yesterday.
Of course it did.
It happened fucking everywhere last night.
Texas and Texas A&M were fighting their ass. I mean, you know why? That tells me you care. I don't want anybody getting hurt, but I'll tell you, don't tell me I don't like the pregame press conference, MMA, the UFC fight where a guy, don't tell me I don't like that. Of course I like it. It adds to the gamesmanship of it. As long as nobody gets hurt. Now, the pepper spray thing, they'll have to visit. That's the NC2A and the police to take care of that stuff. Yeah, but in truth, do we really need that to tell a bunch of guys with uniforms on? You saw them start strapping up helmets and put it on. If a guy breaks his hand, then he's an idiot and you move on. But kudos to Michigan and Ohio State for players being so into it. You want to protect your turf even though you didn't play well enough. And then Michigan, I mean, I like gamesmanship. I just don't want anybody hurt. But I like the intensity of rivalries. That's why we do them other than watching good football. It's the way it's supposed to be.
It's going to be interesting, too, Sean. Everyone wants people fired and all these talking heads. But the bottom line is, who are you going to replace Ryan Day with? Unless you got Urban Meyer wanting to coach again.
Yeah, does Nick Saban want to come out of retirement and coach there?
There's not a lot of guys sitting around the house except for Sean and I, but we're blackballed. All right, Sean, so let's dive into this. This show's powered by BetUS, so head on over. This will be BetUS's numbers So if you guys want to bet, go on over to BetUS. Use my promo code Coach JB. Let's start right off the gate with Tennessee Titans, Washington Commanders, right out here at 10 a.m. on the West Coast, 1 p.m. on the East. This is a over under 45, Sean, and it is a Tennessee Titans +6. The Commanders walk in there with a being the favorite here. You got over under 45. I don't know. I'm taking the game as the over 45 on this one. I think Jaden Daniels bounces back after that crazy game versus Dallas, losing a couple in a row. I think they're in a must-win situation. I'm going to take the over on this one at 45 in this game.
Yeah, I personally, Levis made a bunch of plays last week against the Texans. He made a bunch of big-time – he's got a big-time arm. Nobody's questioned that. But he also ran into about 6 sacks. His pocket presence last week was awful. But he made enough plays to win, and the Texans aided in that by not playing great football and, doing some of the things they did last week to put their team in a major bind and missing some easy throws and not controlling the line of scrimmage. So I'm going to say Washington, after reeling a little bit, get back on track. They are at home. I'm going to give the points away. I don't think Tennessee's that good. I know some people think they're underrated. Defensively, they're playing better football. I just don't think they're consistent enough. I think Washington's going to be able to get after them defensively, and I would expect Washington to play a more complete game. I'm going to actually take this one, give those points away at home. I don't think Tennessee's going to stay in this game. I think this is if it was 5.5, if it was 6.5, 7 points or higher, maybe, but at 6, I think Washington's a touchdown better in this game, and I expect Daniels to play well.
I agree. I'd probably take the over 45 along with the -6 in Washington. Maybe do a little doubleheader heater right there. The next game, Chargers-Falcons, man. Chargers lost in the Harbaugh Bowl to the Ravens, who we're going to talk about later. This is a pick'em game, man. -1 Chargers, over under 47. Seems a little high with the Chargers defense, but Atlanta can catch fire at any given moment if they get Pitts the ball and Robinson involved, and then London gets some, gets past the coverage. But the Chargers defense is still really good. I thought the Ravens really exposed them a little bit last week. Monken exposed the defense there. I think the Chargers bounced back today. I'm taking the Chargers on a money line clearly to win this game. They have to win this game to stay in the thick of the playoff race in the AFC. Over 47 is going to be the interesting one, Sean. Curious on your take.
I would, JB, first of all, I want to get to real quick on the Chargers. There's something, the lack of explosiveness on offense concerns me. I think they're physical and they do it, but I don't think Jim can win championships doing it like this. I think and his quarterback's capable of doing it. Their weapons on offense or the lack thereof of perimeter put the fear of God in me. And Herbert's a good player. He can run and throw. I got to see more. I actually think they're going to have to score more today. As good as I think that they're capable of 24, 27 points Atlanta in their building. I do. I'm actually taking the over in this game.
Wow. Me too.
I think it's a close game, and I'd probably go I would probably take the Falcons at home, even though I think the Chargers are a more physical, better team. I think you're going to see both quarterbacks let this thing go. I think it's going to be playing more in space today. I think this reeks to me of 30-27 on that, which would be over. What is it? You say it's 48, 47?
47.
Yeah, as good as the defenses are, indoor, play fast. I think the Chargers need to show more in the passing game and perimeter game. And we know Atlanta can score. And I don't think this is 17-10. I think slowing it down may be a problem. I think both teams are capable of getting in the 20s. This, to me, has got 27-24 written all over it. I'm going to take the over in the game. Yeah,
I agree. I'm going to take the over 47, and I think the Chargers figure a way to win it. Herbert, by the way, needs 111 yards passing today, Sean, to be on, in his first, I believe, 7 years. He's on the fastest track, right behind Peyton Manning for most yards, most yards thrown. So very interesting.
He's underutilized throwing the ball right there right now. They need to throw. They need to air it out. It'll make the running game better. Yeah.
Yeah, they got to get rid of the Quentin Johnson kid at this point. McConkey's their star receiver, and he's just a guy that's just a really tough, inside guy that can run routes against the safety. But man, I don't know. They don't have any outside threat out there. And curious, I agree. They have no big-time over-the-top hitter. Let's dive into this Pittsburgh Steelers-Bengal game. Bengals can score points, Sean. The defense for the Steelers is locked down. Top 3 defense in the NFL. The Bengals top 3 offense in the NFL. It's going to be very interesting. The over-under on this is very interesting. Less than the Chargers-Falcons, which makes sense, I guess. But the Bengals defense is atrocious. The Steelers can throw the ball over the top now with George Pickens and Russell Wilson factor. This over is 46. Over-under is 46. The Steelers are +3 in this morning game. Where you at with this rivalry?
Wish I could get 3.5 if I was the Bengals. You know, if I could get that hook, it'd be great. Listen, I put it this way: if the Bengals defense was the Steelers defense, and the Bengals defense, if they switch defenses, then I'd think Pittsburgh could score more, and then Cincinnati could score. You know what I'm saying? So I'd lean over. My tendency is to think that the under. This is like a 24-20 type game, 24-21 type game. But it's such a, you get it. It's an even game because you're picking the Bengals at home. I'm going to say at this situation, which I don't like to do this, I'm going to say that the Bengals are going to have to play their best all-around game to win it. I mean, they've played Baltimore and haven't been able to win. And I think the Bengals, who actually believe they're going to play a lot looser, then I think there's more pressure on the Steelers. Now that's odd saying it because I think the Steelers, there's a division win. Bengals are going to have to win them all to get in. It seems like, right? They're going to have to go on a roll. But we've seen the movie. My tendency is to take the Bengals in the under in the game. I think it is a field goal type game, you know, which would, you know, be a push. But even with Burrow, and even though Russ Wilson's played better, I think you're going to have a hard time pushing the ball into the end zone 4 or 5 times here, Cincinnati. And I'm not sure Pittsburgh is good as they played. They want to shorten the game. This to me says 23-20, 24-20 type game. I would have a tendency. I'm going to take the under in the game, which when Joe Burrow's playing, I rarely do. And boy, is he having a monster year. I'm going to take the under in the game, and I think it's going to be one hell of a watch because I love this divisional game, and I love the offense with Burrow, and I love Cincinnati's defense. What gives today? I think there's a little more pressure on Pittsburgh because of Baltimore, and we think that now that they could be a Super Bowl team. I think a lot of people have written the Bengals off, and you know how that goes. When you're playing loose and free, you may play a little bit better. And at 4-7, you can play loose and free, even though there's pressure to win them all. Even if you win the rest of your games, you may not get in if you're Cincinnati. So I think they can just kind of let it rip. I prefer I think the Bengals win the game. I do, or it's one of those within a field goal. I'm going to take the under because I love what Mike Tomlin's defense does.
So you're thinking that's an under 21?
I think it's like 24-20. I think it's like 24. What's it, under 46 over under the points? I think it's 24-20, 23-20 type game. 24, I do. I don't know what the weather is, but it's not going to be hot. And both of them are equipped to do it. But, you know, I don't know how bad is. I didn't even look at the weather. But give me the under in this game. I think it's going to be one of those battles.
That's tough. I know because the Bengals can light it up, and then the Steelers can now score a little bit on that bad defense. Oh, man, you're going to take under. I'm going to roll with the over on this one. I'm going to take a shot at the over 46 on this one. I think they both get going.
If it was 3.5 points, I'd be taking the Steelers in the game because I think this has – but the Bengals, let it free. You'll get a pretty good idea what Bengals defense is going to show up off the ball right off the bat, and how they're going to protect Burrow on the offensive line will be obviously key in this game.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's move on to this Colts game. The Patriots-Colts, -2 are the Colts. They're -140 to win the game. The over-under on this is 42 per BetUS, Sean. Where you at with this Colts game, man? AR5's back. He came back. He was horrific last week. Where you at with this game? And do you see this? Can you see the New England Patriots mustering anything on offense whatsoever and getting a win? I'm going to take the Colts all day long in this one. Now the over/under 42 is something I want to ask you.
Yeah, I think this is a game that kind of has Northeast impact, low scoring written all. I mean, I think we all, as that the public loves overs and they love favorites. They just do because, well, that's kind of what you want. The team you like, and then you want, but the over, you always want points, right? That's the way. But some teams don't win that way, and New England ain't winning that way. New England's going to have to keep it down, and we're going to find out. A battle of two good core. I think Drake May is playing damn good football. I do. I think he's a really good player, and this class has got a chance to be special as long as
defense is bad too.
What's that? The Colts yes,
is bad.
Overrated compared to what we thought going into the season.
Yeah.
With that in mind. This scenario, I want you to think about this for a second. Even though they beat the Colts and they'll get the tiebreaker, the Colts, if the Texans go into Jacksonville today and piss down their leg, they're one, and then they got to go bye week, Miami, Kansas City, Baltimore.
Ooh.
Now Miami's capable of hanging 30 or 40 on anybody, right? So you got to go to Miami, you got to deal with Kansas City, and then you got to play. You got to get Baltimore at home, but that will be no easy task because they thrive during and trying to stop the big fella from running. It's going to be difficult. They're such a bandwidth offense, so they have to. So the pressure, if the Texans go in and lose to Jacksonville, now I want you to start thinking about the scenario of now you're one now and then they win this, they're 6-7. That would make the Texans 7-6. Although the tiebreaker favors them, then the pressure starts to mount for the Texans, right? I'm going to take the Colts. I think the Colts win by a field goal. Give me the Colts on the road.
I'm going to say the same thing, and I'm going to take the over on this one, 42. I think Anthony Richardson can, if he does complete the deep ball, can take some big shots. And then I think Drake May's playing well, and I think they'll actually score a few points on the Colts defense. So I'm going to take the over 42, and I do agree the Colts win by a field goal. The next one, though, you just mentioned, Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jags, man. Houston -3, over-under is 45. The line's -170, Houston. Where you at with this one? And the Jags don't have much to play for except for being a spoiler in an interconference divisional game. They would want nothing more, and they play well against the Texans. Over 45, Sean? Under 45?
What do we got? What's the inact? What Lawrence is playing, I think, right? Yes, he's active.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm gonna. It's tough to sweep teams regularly every year, right? They got them, I believe, here at home. They beat them. You're going. I think jobs are on the line in Jacksonville. And when you're to that point, it happens a lot where you see a team come out, and like I said, I'm big on teams that feel – now some when they quit, they just quit and they got their golf clubs in their trunk and they're done. They get their ass kicked. I still think there's enough pride in Jacksonville right now to play well. Listen, the Jaguars – I mean, the Texans are a better team. But the Texans have underachieved football-wise this year. They just have. They've taken a step. Now their defense is really friggin' good. They fly. Offensive line's been putrid. They just have. Where's that accountability? But I have a hunch that this game is not going to go the way. Now, I hope it's a blowout so we can talk about it all week long in Houston, but there's a reason why this isn't a blowout spread, even though it's on the road. I don't know where it started, but my gut tells me it started higher than this week. I would think, even though the Texans, but you're on the road. I would actually take, if it was a straight pick 'em, I'd take the Texans to win the game. But if I'm not betting this game, JB. I'm not touching this because I don't trust the way the Texans are playing right now, and it's bothersome. But Jacksonville is talk about an underachiever the last few years. At this time of year, can you trust them to go get a win? But at home, with the way the Texans have played, there's been some disruption going on. The Texans got to prove to me they can keep their passer upright and get back into that. I guess on the money line, I'd take the Texans to win straight up normally, but this game's dangerous, man. I'm just telling you, this is a dangerous frigging game because if they lose this, they're in danger of losing 5 in a row. So that desperation, and then they have a bye week, so you'd have to let this one fester for a week before you played. I think this is more dangerous. I hope I'm 100% wrong. The Texans are better, but I'm going to tell you, if you're willing to bet this game, unless you're a homer, you're all Texans all the time if you're in Houston. But I can tell you, I think it's going to be more dangerous than you think. I really do.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Houston in desperation. If I'm betting on the house, on
I'd have to do the same thing. Yep.
If I'm betting my house on a certain game today, I would bet that the Texans are my lock pick, and we'll get to it later. But I'm gonna have to go with the Texans today.
And it's at 3 now. Is it 3?
Nico, yes. The game is at -3. Houston's -3 over 45 per BetUS. Yep.
Yeah, I like the Texans too, but I 2-9 team 7. There's desperation to keep jobs in 1 and to impact. You'd be surprised. There's a lot more fire or a lot more heat around the offense. Bobby Slowick's name than people. I mean, there's been a lot of talk in Houston about what's going on, the adjustments not being made. Do you realize this team just can't look at their second halves? The Texans' second halves.
Yeah.
If this game's close in the fourth quarter, I got a major concern about I'll take the Texans. I would take them in this, like 4-4. I mean, if I was doing it, but I think this is a dangerous bet. I'm not betting it for me. It's just dangerous because what I see all week long. I'm going to take
Houston money line, Sean. I'm taking Houston money line and just bank on that they win the game because they have to. So
I get it.
That's where I'm at on this one. Let's move on real quick to the next one in the morning slate. The Arizona Cardinals, Minnesota Vikings, expected to be one of the better games of this morning slate. Besides that Steelers and Bengals game, I would think this is going to be another good game. Arizona is coming off of a beatdown to Seattle. Minnesota has now back on the winning track. They're 9-2, Sean, or whatever. They're pretty damn good.
Yep.
This is Arizona's +3, and the over/under on this is 45. Where are you at with this one?
You know what? This is the one. I think this is going to be a shootout. I do, and I know. I mean, I do. I think that there's enough off-schedule plays with Murray. And I think that Darnold's been consistent enough. I think you're going to be able to run the ball if you're Minnesota. I love the way they get after it. Some big plays on the perimeter. I'm going to take a flyer on this one and pick the over. I think this is like 31-27. I think this is a more high-scoring game. And even if you're outside of 2 touchdowns, either team, I would not turn the TV off. I think there's enough plays that are going to be I think I'm impressed. Minnesota's the best. Nobody talks about this 9-2 team. It's a trip. It really is. Hell, the Packers are 8-3, and nobody's in the division. They're in 3rd place in their division and playing good football. So I don't think this is a low-scoring game. I think this, with the indoor and going at it, I think you're going to see enough plays. Both quarterbacks capable. There's good perimeter, good wide receivers in the game. Give me the over in this game. This is the one I'm leaning towards in the over. But I would take Minnesota to win at home. Although Arizona, every time I pick against Arizona this year, I think they've covered or won. So I still don't trust that team. They're too inconsistent for me. And Kevin O'Connell just keeps plugging away. But give me the over in this game. I think there's going to be more points.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go the same way as you on that one. This next one is Seattle Jets. This is a pick'em game, Sean. It's a 42 is over/under. The Jets can stymie you on D at times. They can give up ass at times. The Seattle Seahawks playing better defense as of late. But they're an inconsistent team as well, like you just mentioned with Arizona. The Seahawks are in the same boat. They are now, in the front, leading the pack. Leading the pack there in the NFC West in a division where the Niners in a must-win tonight in a -30-degree game we're going to talk about in a minute. Man, I got to roll with the Seahawks in this game. Over/under is 42. That's the issue I'm having right there. I don't know if Seahawks light it up. Do the Jets struggle as they've continued to do on offense? I'm just going to take the Seahawks in a money line game and cop out and cower out on this one.
Yeah, what tells you the Jets are good enough to win regularly? What tells you? What have you seen from their offense that tells you, man, I really love this team? Aside from they have talented players.
Yeah, nothing.
What did I see about Breece Hall? Is he active? He is, correct?
I believe Breece Hall is active.
At what point in time do the Jets play like, oh, okay, that's who we thought they were in August? When do we get to see that?
Yeah.
If I'd have told you at the beginning of the season that this is where the Jets were going to be, you'd have said, no, man, you're not looking. You didn't study this roster. Road game. Going to be tough. It should be pretty damn cold. The Jets, you talk about reeling in. They're -1 at home. I'm going to take the visitor. I don't trust the Jets. And I think that Geno and those receivers are capable. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game. I think it's actually going to be ugly. But give me the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are not just record-wise. The Seahawks are a better team, better execution. Give me them. And they obviously, with the Arizona hanging around, the 49ers with a huge road game in a cold environment tonight, this is a chance for the Seahawks to distance themselves on the road because they have the easiest one of San Francisco and Arizona. Arizona and Minnesota is tough. Obviously, San Francisco going to Buffalo is brutal. And Seattle going to the Jets, it doesn't feel like that tall a task. Give me Seattle.
Yeah, I'm taking the same. The Jets I think they're dead men walking. They're waiting to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, waiting to get rid of this, interim head coach.
They may have their golf clubs in their trunk right now. They very well may have them in there.
And I like Albrecht, but he's incompetent as a head coach. It's showing. Unfortunately, that's not everybody's head coach material. Unfortunately, that's just the name of the game.
He's a good position coach too, man.
Yeah, good dude. No question. So I'm rocking with the Seahawks as well today. Got to do it. The last morning slate game, and now we're moving on, Sean, into the later games here. The 1 o'clock West Coast slate, the 4:05 East Coast slate. Buccaneers, Panthers in a divisional game. Panthers with a big win last week, not a big win, but they should have shocked the world in Kansas City. Morale is high there. Bryce Young is playing well, so in my opinion, they're winning in a franchise that was dysfunctional to start the season. They're playing now much better brand of football. Bryce Young's back. It looks like he's mentally in charge again. I like Bryce. I thought he played well last year to end the season with a horrific O-line and a horrific cast around him. I think Carolina's still in that position, but for some reason they're buying in to a JUCO friend of mine in Dave Canales. I expect this game to be a hard-fought one once again, but I got to roll with the over on this one at 46.5. Tampa -6.5 is the line. They got a hook for you, Sean.
And that's why that's exactly. If it wasn't there, it'd be a difficult pick. I would bet. I think, and obviously, this is the spread says blowout when you're going in on the road. But I like that Carolina's improved, and Baker Mayfield just continues to tough it out and show me something. He does. He's competing his ass off. But at 6.5 with a hook, I love the energy. And at home, I think Carolina, they're hanging around. They had a chance to beat Kansas City. They're doing some really good things. And I cautioned people not to call Bryce Young a bust after 1 year. It's not fair. No. I mean, if we did that with coaches, we'd fire most of them after their first year. We just can't. You got to have a little bit of patience with the guy who had no personnel. And, the changing and all that. Now he's trying to – Canales looks like they're starting to buy into what's going on. And the benching for him was good for Dalton. Gave him a different perspective. Hell, that kid hadn't seen a bench since he was long before when he was, a modern day before when he walked on campus as a freshman and then took over and was great there, was great at Alabama. The kid – so we got to guard against him being a bust. Now, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but give me 6.5. That hook's important. I think Carolina keeps it close. Fourth quarter win for Tampa Bay. But Carolina inside that number. I'll take the Panthers. I think it's a field. I think this is that Carolina stays close enough to have a chance in the fourth quarter.
I'm going to take the over 46.5. I think it's a high-scoring game. I think Mike Evans gets going once again after coming back last week. He's still showing that he's one of the most underrated wide receivers in NFL history. I think that they get going there, and I think Carolina runs out of steam. But I think Carolina can run the football, and I think Bryce Young's playing well. So I might have to I tend to agree with the +6.5 for Carolina, but the over is where I'm at, 46.5. The Rams pay Saints, Sean. This is a -3 Rams. This is over 49. Over under is 49. The Rams, man, have struggled as of late. They played the Eagles well for a half, it seemed like, and then they just couldn't get enough going. The Eagles are playing really, really well. We're going to dive into that next. But I got to roll with Sean McVay and the Rams here. The over 49 also, man. I think both teams can score points. Either defense is stellar. I like the Rams here on the money line and over 49.
Yeah, and you're going to have to, to get off the field. What I do like is the Saints' versatility offensively, and I don't know how you're going to defend. The ball will come out quick. Stafford still can make all the throws. They are so good at playing just, and then taking their shots. But with those two receivers, they're really good at at finding spots. They're going to move the ball. I'm with you. This game, it's the Rams and Saints. It's fine. Neither one are going anywhere this year, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun watch. A quarterback, I think they're going to go up and down the field. I do. I'm going to take the over in the football game. I don't. I think it's the highest. Is it the highest number of the week? I don't think we have an over/under in any other game that reaches 49. I take that back. The Eagles-Ravens, that's at 51. But I think the indoor football flying around, they'll throw it. I think a lot of points are in this game. I almost feel like the lock is the over in the Rams-Saints game. That's just my opinion. I don't think the defenses will be able to get off the field very often regardless.
I'm the same way. I'm taking the lock for over 49, and I'm taking the Rams here. The Eagles-Ravens, this is the one everybody wants to talk about. The Eagles playing as well as anybody. The Ravens are trying to bounce back and get back into real consideration of Super Bowl contention. Their defense just, to me, is the problem. I've been saying it for weeks and weeks. They're 8-4. I get it. But those 4 losses are really, really eye-glaring, critical losses that they've had because of the dysfunctional defense that they still have in the secondary and the linebacking core. Other than, losing Patrick Queen to me, I said months ago, is a huge, huge loss. And Kyle Hamilton's been in and out of the lineup. Even when he's in, the defensive secondary is one of the worst pass secondary defenses in NFL. I'm rolling with the Eagles today, man. I really am. I'm rolling with the Eagles today. It's +3 for Philly, which even makes it better for me. And it's over/under is 51, Sean. That is the highest over/under of the weekend. Where are you at with this game?
Well, I don't know how you're going to stop either offense the way that they play. I don't. As much as I respect the defenses in this league, Baltimore's defense isn't what we're used to seeing in Baltimore. I mean, I don't know what the numbers say, but it feels like they are – it's a little different. But I don't know. Listen, both running backs are going to be heavily involved in the game. That means, does it shorten or is there a lot of points? I just don't know with play action and both of these quarterbacks' ability to get to the edge and to make play action throws. I don't like a lot of overs during the – I just don't. I mean, especially at this time of year, I don't think the quarterback play – now in this, it's been fine around the league. I don't think that quarterback play has been the highest it's ever been. We've been talking about that. To me, this reeks of just like a last-second 34-31 field goal type game. It just does. I think that when you said – I think both offenses are better than both defenses. Does that make sense?
No doubt.
No matter how you slice it. And
No
there's minimum of 3 MVP candidates in this game, and all 3 are capable of taking over the game. I think this is going to be an absolute friggin' blast to watch. I think this could be a repeat of what we'll see in February. I think both are capable, regardless of the Ravens' record at 8-4. Defenses know they're going to have to defend the entire bandwidth of the field. And this is, I think, my second over of the day. I'm going to take this, and it's kind of I'd have a hard time picking the game, wouldn't you? I mean, a field goal, there's no hook, 3-point. It's just like, man. Yeah. I mean, I think it's dangerous. And plus, I want to take my emotion, the betting emotion, out of this game so I can just watch it, enjoy it, and not care about the spread in it. But I do think there's a reason this is at 51. They don't trust the defenses either. I think that the quarterbacks are better than the defenses. I think the runners are better than the defenses. Give me the over in this football game, and it's one hell of a game. I don't care who wins. Both are going to be playing into mid to late January, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if the Ravens defense can beat the Chiefs, can beat the Bills. I know they beat the Bills' ass earlier this year, but that was not this Bills team. The Bills are figuring it out, and Josh Allen's also an MVP candidate. We're going to dive into that next. I'm going to take the Eagles on the money line, and I would definitely say over 51. Just depends on the weather, Sean. We know because this next game we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills, 49ers. It's supposed to be like -30, 3 foot of snow. The highways are backed up for 80 miles. I mean, it's a bad weather in Buffalo, New York right now. Frisco travels there, coming from a warm weather state. We get it. It's NFL football, Sean. You played in Minnesota, being from California. We all have to strap on our big, hard work boots and our hard hat and strap it up and be professionals. The Niners are just coming back. No Trent Williams. I don't know if he's playing today or not. CMC's been back 2 weeks. Looks mediocre at best. I don't believe he's full go like we expect him to be, at least. And then Purdy's not. I don't know if he's playing today or not. I think he might be playing, but he's been struggling, to be honest. Deebo Samuel has not showed up as the guy everyone thought he was. Ayuk's injured. Kittle's have been hit and miss. This team is just inconsistent as their head coach, Kyle Shanahan, is. I'm taking the Bills all day today in the cold weather game, and I'm taking the under, Sean. I don't see how you can score 44.5 points in this weather, unless I'm totally wrong and they run the football and break a few plays in the snow like backyard football like we used to play, Sean. I don't know if they can do that or not, but under 44.5 screams to me like must take, must bet. So where you at with this? Plus 6.5 for the Niners. They got a hook, and it's over under. It's 44.5.
If it hits the under, 49ers are going to be in that spread inside that. All those reasons you gave with health, and the 49ers, talk about a desperate football team. They have looked nothing like a Super Bowl caliber team on a consistent basis this year at most positions. It's going to be tough on everybody. Even though, while it is Southern California, San Francisco is definitely not Palm Springs when it comes to weather. We know that. But I think this both can lean on, feet with Cook and Allen, but also with McCaffrey in a short passing game. And depending on, I'm assuming Purdy's playing, obviously I would think a lot different if he's not in the game, even though he's had his struggles. And the physical skill set, well, I think it's underrated. He's not going to drive the ball through the wind like a guy like Josh Allen would. I think Allen has had he's protected the ball in the red zone. All that being said, you're giving me 6.5 points. I think I agree with you. The under, I would lean there. But for me, well, I think Buffalo and Detroit are the two best teams I watch weekly. They just are. And with Philadelphia and the Baltimore, there's another group. They're all in the same one. But I think Buffalo, and I didn't expect them to be in this exact position. I didn't. I thought they'd take a step back, which is kudos to them for the way they're playing. I think this is going to be a blast, low scoring. I'm gonna give San Francisco inside that number. I think that the way that the San Francisco 49ers have to win out, and if they do, when I say have to win out, they can be dangerous. They can if they're fully healthy. There at some point in time they're going to have to overexceed what we've expected from them after all these injuries, and they're going to have to play good football. I don't think this is a blowout. I actually think this is going to be closer than you think. Give me Buffalo to win the game if I'm just talking with a beer with my buddies. But I think 6.5 points tells me 49ers stay in this game, because if they can get to 30 touches in the run game, they'll be in it. And that's a Kyle Shanahan goal, as we know. He always want to have more runs than passes. 34 touches, I'm talking about but 30 touches plus in the backfield. Whether it's running the quarterback, whether it's running McCaffrey, whoever it is, I think this is going to be closer. I love Buffalo. I think Buffalo is a Super Bowl team. But I think that this is the under. And I think that San Francisco is going to stay in the game.
Look at that, Sean.
I've been in a few of those, brother. I can tell you, I know. Yeah, I get it. I've been in those.
You've been in those, right?
Yes, I have. So, but both are fortunately capable of running short passing games and controlling it. I think San Francisco hangs around. I'm going to be hard-pressed to pick anybody against Buffalo. If Buffalo has home field advantage throughout the playoffs at home, and, man, the Chiefs keep doing it and getting by, if Buffalo sits at home in the playoffs, Buffalo, in my opinion, is in the Super Bowl if they're able to find a way to stay at home. I agreed.
No doubt. We're both taking the Buffalo Bills on this one. And then tomorrow night's game.
No. I'm taking San Francisco with the points. Buffalo's going to win the game. I'm taking 6.5. Give me San Francisco.
See, it's tough because I agree. I think it could be a field goal game in this fucking weather. Or nobody scores and it's a 6-3 game. I agree with that part of it, but then at the other end of it, it's like, can the Niners show up in this weather and complete the football? Because I don't know if they can really run the football in Buffalo in that weather. Can they complete a pass and see the goddamn ball? The it factor is Josh Allen running around, which he can do, and you can't fucking stop him because you can't see him in this snow.
Plus, he's so friggin' athletic and big, man.
the +1 factor for Josh Allen to me is what separates these two teams today in this weather, and I'd have to take Buffalo.
No, I get it. I think they're winning the game. I love them. I think they're as good as we have in the AFC. I mean, on a roster that probably we didn't think was as talented as others going in, which is a tribute to Josh Allen, the way he's played, and he's really good. It's going to be one hell of a football game, and at night it's only going to get colder and colder and colder. This is must-see football just for the weather alone, and see how the players handle it. And the truth is, a game like this, it also comes down to mental toughness. It just does. Having been in them, it's like that going in at halftime sucks. Why? Because you get that sense of security. You go in, you change your jersey, warm up a little bit, you come back out, and you got to deal with that shit again. So it's almost like you want to do it back when you did in Pop Warner High School. Grab an orange slice, stay on the field, and let's just keep playing through halftime. I love these games because it tells me who's mentally tough, and both have been mentally tough in the past. Buffalo, I'm sure, loves this shit that they're about to get tonight because that's who those great fans are. It should be fun to watch.
Now, tomorrow's Monday night's game, not a sexy one. Cleveland Browns, Denver Broncos. Broncos are trying to make a push with a rookie QB who's up for Rookie of the Year consideration. And I want to talk to you about Rookie of the Year here after we pick this last game. And all you guys can go to BetUS, get your picks in today. Use my promo code Coach JB. And you get Sean's picks, my picks, and all of our picks. Tomorrow's Monday night game, Cleveland Browns, Denver Broncos. Cleveland +6, over-under is 42, Sean. Where are you at with this one?
I don't trust. I think they throw the ball better with Winston than they did with Watson. I do. If they want to run the football, that would help. And I never know what I'm going to get out of their passing game. Their defense is pretty stout, but Denver's is one of the best in the league. And I think that Bo Nix deserves consideration for Rookie of the Year the way he's playing. I do. And you know how I feel about Jaden Daniels. I think this is going to be a fun watch, but for that Rookie of the Year, give me Denver. 6 seems like a lot of points, but there's something that it's a little sideways for me. I think there'll be some turnovers by Denver's defense. Give me Denver at home. I like them on Monday Night Football.
I'm taking Denver as well. Both of us locked Denver in. Your lock pick of the week, Sean, real quick, before I ask you a question before we get out of here. You guys all we got plenty of time. You got 15 minutes to get your picks in before kickoff of game 1 starts. Your lock pick, Sean, is it the Buffalo Niners game? I think you sounded confident in that. Is it the over under 51 for the Ravens Eagles? You sounded confident in that. You also like the Seahawks versus the Jets. And I don't feel like I'm like this is a big. I'm not flexing on many of these this week because it seems like an odd week for. Maybe there's some people out there who love the gambling week this week. And there's a couple of them that say I believe strongly in the Chargers Falcons over. I just do. And I know what the Chargers defense, but there's a lot of weapons on the Falcons, and they I think they can exploit some situations. I would probably, for me, on the lock of the week, take my where am I looking? I'm sorry here. I would probably take for me, the lock of the week is didn't I take the under in the Bengals-Steelers game? And then I'm just trying to think here. Yeah.
You know what? I know what it is. I told you I'm taking the Commanders at home. I know that Tennessee's coming off a win, but I like the Commanders in this game, and I think that their defense is going to get into the act, and I think Jaden Daniels will get them back going. Plus, they need to get back on track. Give me Washington at home, and all the news about the Redskins name possibly coming back and logo. I think there's a lot of things going on, and I'm going to go with Washington in this one to keep pace too, and not let Philadelphia run away from them. Give me Washington as my lock of the week.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans to win the game outright. That's my.
That should be the lock of the week, my man. That should be.
Should be. I'm taking the Texans to lock it up, man. I know they're struggling. They got to win, in my opinion. I got to bet the house that they win the game. Sean, real quick, can we start picking the best players to win these awards? And I mean the MVP, I mean the Heisman Trophy, and I mean the Rookie of the Year. The Rookie of the Year in the NFL is not even a question to me. It's not even a debate to me. It's not even fucking close to me. And it's Brock Bowers. The problem is he's on a bad football team, and no one's giving him the
And he's
credit.
a tight end, and that's why he's not going to win it, unfortunately.
He's unfucking believable. He's the clear-cut favorite, in my opinion. If I'm just a football guy betting on the best football player, Brock Bowers is the best fucking rookie in the class. It's not close. And I get the hype with Bo Nix. I get the hype with Jaden Daniels' strong year to start. He's hit a wall a little bit. But if we start giving the awards to the most deserving, meaning flat out the best fucking football player, I don't care about the record. This is not college or high school. It's the best football player in the men's league, the NFL. Brock Bowers is the best rookie in the class. It's not close.
You hit it. He is the best football player too. And can you imagine him with Josh Allen or with a guy like that? With a consistent passer.
Matthew Stafford.
The guy is so impactful. He may very well be the best football player on either side of the ball as a rookie.
Yeah.
He's not going to win it because he plays for the Raiders and he's a tight end, and the numbers won't be gaudy enough. It's going to go to a quarterback, and it's going to go to Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels, and you and I both know it. I think Drake May and Caleb Williams have chances down the road. They're not going to win it. But, I can definitely make the argument that Brock Bowers is the best rookie of all the rookies, but he's not going to win it. It's going to come down to the December, which one of these quarterbacks makes more plays for their potential playoff team. And I think it's a two-horse race, although Bowers, if you say for the next 10 years, what draft pick do you think is going to still be playing and still dominate the next 8 to 10 years? And take quarterback out of it because Brock Bowers was matter of fact, might have been the safest pick in the first round because he's just one of those guys. When I say safe, but I know he's going to be I know he's going to be a player, and he's going to be, no matter where he goes, they're going to throw him the football because he's impactful. As long as he stays healthy, the guy's a phenomenal player. We knew that. And Greg Olson said he knew that. I saw his post. Greg Olson said when he saw him as a freshman, said, this guy's different. He's the best freshman talent tight end. And all these years later, 4 years later, whatever, it's bearing itself out. He's a phenomenal player. On my team, which is the Raiders, that I just can't quite find the winning philosophy again, which would be nice.
Yeah, no doubt. Your MVP right now. I know quarterback, it's basically should be called a quarterback award. I don't think anyone's won it since Adrian Peterson in 2008 or whatever. Who you got winning the MVP in the NFL right now? And I just want to ask you, before we just give out the normal, the ESPN, the Fox, the mainstream media bland answer, well, it's Lamar Jackson has got the best stats he's had in his career. I don't believe he should have won it last year. I thought Josh Allen and CMC should have been in the mix more than they were. Lamar is playing, though, but I don't know if anyone as impactful as Saquon Barkley. I don't think so. Without Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts is a I don't know. I think he's a liability. You don't have to depend on Jalen Hurts as much anymore with this guy out here. He's doing stuff that I don't know if we've seen since Adrian Peterson, and he's 700 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's record, Sean, and that's my favorite back of all time growing up here in L.A. Is Saquon is he really a guy you would consider for the MVP because of what he's done for his team, Sean? I get the stats and I get the QB stuff. I don't know if anyone's done what Saquon's done for his team.
This feels like Kirk Gibson, 1988 MVP, when he didn't have the – now, Barkley's numbers are gaudier. Don't misunderstand me, but just impactful leadership came on, how people feel, confidence. There were guys with better numbers, but his impact and his numbers got him the MVP. Barkley's numbers are gaudier. If he's not being considered, then we're not watching football, right? We're just not. To me, there's five guys, and I'm not trying to – it's going to come, who makes these plays in December is usually what it's going to come down to. Baltimore's got two, and see, the question is, how are we defining the MVP? Because I still don't know how the MVP is defined by the NFL. By those 50 voters, are you the best player? Yeah. Is it just the best stats on the best team? Is it the best stats, period? I mean, like in baseball, when Andre Dawson won the MVP when his team finished in last place with the Cubs. So what is it? Is it that? So I'm assuming we're going to get some. Mine is, okay, stats do matter. Your impact on the team, who you did it and what you did it with. Did you sustain it all year? And if you have two MVP candidates on the same team, is it fair enough to say that they cancel each other out and go to somebody else? I don't know. To me, it's Goff. I'm not saying in order. Goff, Jackson, and Allen at quarterback, Barkley and Henry at running back.
And let me ask you this though, before you keep going, before you say
Burrow would be the MVP if it was Andre Dawson. If Burrow's team was in play, if they flipped the record and they had more wins than losses, what he's done.
That's what I asked you. Yeah,
is the God, there's no doubt, and I don't think anybody can argue that. But people like you mentioned for the Rookie of the Year on a team's not good. Burrow's not going to sniff the award because Cincinnati, unless now if they go on a roll and win and make the playoffs and pull this out of their ass, and he ends up. Then it's a different conversation.
I think it'd be too late though, because they're not even talking about Burrow.
Right, that's exactly right. It made too little, too late. There's no doubt. But he's played better football than anybody in the league or close to it. But those other five, Goff, I don't think gets the credit he deserves because this trade rarely works for two teams. Stafford wins a Super Bowl and a championship, and they get 4 hellified players. It's worked for both. And Jared Goff is now has for the last really year and a half to 2 years, like the first pick of the draft, and I'm happy for him. He deserves to be in the run. Lamar Jackson's numbers are really, really good, and he deserves it. He's the best player on one of the best teams. But would they be the same if Derrick Henry wasn't back there doing what he's doing? I don't think he's getting enough credit. He may end up being Offensive Player of the Year, and Barkley. The running back may end up getting Offensive Player of the Year, one of the two, and then the MVP between the 3 other guys. But Josh Allen is doing more with less than any of them. Yeah. When I say that's not disrespect to the personnel. Yeah. All those other teams, Detroit's got as good offense as there is, and Joe Brady's doing a hell of a job with Josh Allen's team in Buffalo as well. But Lamar, we knew Baltimore was going to be here. Saquon to me, the truth is, if you give it to Josh Allen or Saquon Barkley, I don't think you can argue it. But how can you look at Lamar and say he's not with the way he's playing, and then Derrick Henry's impact? That takes over what he's done, and everybody thought, he's done, or he's going to be just a guy. He's not a guy. So, and then Goff may just not get enough credit because I think they think that with Ben Johnson and they run it so well that he may get lost in the middle of the shuffle. But you're damn right Saquon Barkley deserves MVP mention. If you're not, then I haven't seen any Philadelphia games this year. That guy's he's played good football in the past. He is playing the best football of his friggin' career, and it's been fun to watch.
And the Giants should fire everybody, including the owner.
That's right.
That's crazy how that is. Hey, we got our picks in before. Shout out to you, Sean, for jumping on here and getting that in. Your takes as always, and go have a beer, man. And you going to Scottsdale anytime soon?
I am actually. We're looking to buy a home, and you know that, but going to go there maybe a month or two and do my show from out there. Right around when January, mid December to March. Or later, yeah, I'll be there more than once, but for an extended amount of time. So hopefully you'll be there as well.
I'll be there around Christmas too, and then Pat's gonna get in his new house. He's in Saudi right now. He just landed, 19-hour flight. Talked to him last night, yesterday. They have to do this crazy. They've been off live now for a couple months, and then they have this last event in Saudi.
Then they come back, and then they start back up in like February or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent him a message Thanksgiving, so. Just, this past weekend. So he seems to be doing well. It'll be fun. Yeah, no, if you're going to go, you might as well go where there's a lot of money and have some fun. And the weather will be just fine for them in Saudi Arabia. So good for them.
No doubt. Hey, if I told you, if I asked you one question, hell yeah or hell no, Mike Vrabel's the next head coach for the Vegas Raiders. What would you say?
I love, Antonio Pierce. I love him as a human. I think he's a good football coach. But we know that it's production business. I would say, hell yeah. Mike Vrabel, the fact that nobody's talking about Mike Vrabel's a good football coach. And Mike Vrabel will be a head coach again. And so that's a hell yes for me.
I agree. And I've heard rumors that he's already the guy in Vegas.
Yeah, I hate to say this, and it's a bummer for those guys because they don't get much chance to prove it. And what's happened with the roster is interim coaches rarely last. Yeah. They don't get the chance to. They just don't. Because normally they get it at the end of a season. In a couple, with the Jets, they got it early. I mean, Antonio got it last year when they put him on full time? He's a good coach, but the personnel and for whatever reason, they've made a lot of draft mistakes. And Vrabel to me brings the toughness you need. I would, as a Raider fan, as much as I like Antonio, and he'll still coach somewhere, I think that Mike Vrabel would be a great hire. He's going to coach somebody, so you might as well get out in front of it. And that won't shock.
You got Tom Brady there too. I mean, it makes sense. So
complete sense.
No doubt. Hey, enjoy the day, man. I appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Enjoy. Make sure you follow Sean Salisbury on the Sean Salisbury Show and on iHeartRadio every single day. He goes up before I do even. So he's up already on the airways before my show. the Coach JB show with Big Smitty tomorrow. We're back as well, full go.
Announcement in the next probably week to 10 days on 2 new shows, and it'll be announced. And I'm biting my tongue because I'm going to wait till it's every I is dotted and T is crossed. So I'll let you guys know that as well.
Look forward to that. We got over 3,000 people in here watching from all angles, so appreciate everybody in there. Pound that like, head on over to BetUS today, and use the promo code Coach JB. Go enjoy your football. See you next week, Sean. Appreciate you.
Brother. Love you, man. Appreciate it.
Love you guys. Peace.
The last chance cube. Let's go. And I just cannot wait to bring over 60 years of knowledge and experience to not only the novice football fan, Sean, but to the veteran football coach as well.
You love it, you better live it, drink it, eat it, smoke it, and then every now and again wake up with it laying next to you.